everyone, it's Roberta
And this is Ryan, and this is the Midweek News
on Art Blog Radio. Good morning, Ryan. It's election day. How you feeling?
How am I feeling about Election Day? Oh, boy. Well, fine and dandy, I guess.
No.
I think I've gotten 2 or 3 texts, a couple from Trump saying his workers are feeling exhausted and he needs money right away. So I sent him $1,000. Hopefully that helps.
Oh, you're so kind to
luck.
those workers. Yes, you know that every penny will go to those workers. You know that.
At least 10%.
Oh no, that's too generous. Maybe 1%, maybe 0%.
Anybody donating on the last day is just, you have to wonder if there are better uses of your money.
Yeah.
And you wonder where your money's going. Or maybe you don't.
Yeah, no, you should wonder where your money's going. Everybody wonder where your money's going. I want to say I've gotten a couple of people hitting me up and saying, what do you think? What's going to happen? And Steve and I, my husband, we talk about it a lot. And I think I'm more positive than he is. I'm optimistic. I don't believe in the polls. I believe that the questions are skewed. Maybe I've said this before, to get certain answers. And the sample size is certainly not predictive of anything. I don't know who they're sampling. I've never been sampled. Have you been sampled?
A long time ago. When did John Kerry run? I got sampled during that election.
Okay. That was a long time ago.
2004?
Maybe.
Against Bush Jr.?
Could be. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So it's been 20 years. God, that sounds old.
Well, that sounds like you haven't been the typical person to be sampled. And I want to know who they go out and go after and who answers the phone. Who's answering the phone these days? I never answer the phone. If I know you, if you're in my contact list, I answer the phone. If not, leave me a message. So, and if you're a pollster, forget about it.
That must have been more in my gullible phase when I would just answer the phone, not thinking.
We were much more innocent back in 10 years ago, don't you think? Everybody's become so jaded.
This is going to be the first, obviously, so we're recording this on Tuesday and it gets released on Wednesday. So at the end of this podcast, we'll announce the winner.
Hey, why not? Everybody else is going to jump on it tonight.
Speaking of optimism, but this is actually the first election that my son is going to vote in.
Oh, is he voting today? Or did he do
we're going to go together.
Great. I love to go to the polls. I read in an NBC News story today that was on my Apple News feed that 75% of Pennsylvania voters vote on the election day. 75%. Doesn't that strike you as a lot?
I don't have anything to compare it against, so I'm not sure. How do other states compare?
Well, that's true. There was no data on this. This was someone from the Harris campaign was being asked, why the hell are you coming to Pennsylvania so often? Because Trump is saying, oh, this is their Alamo. They're desperate. They're coming to Pennsylvania all the time. And it's not true. The Harris person said, we come here because we know 75% of Pennsylvanians vote on the day of the election. That is why we're here. You got to push it that hard. I don't know how it compares to other states. I have no idea. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yes. My husband says he's nauseously optimistic, which he didn't make up. He grabbed that from some blogger out there on YouTube who had coined the term. But I think that pretty much sums it up. We're all just nauseous about the whole anxiety of this election.
I think at this point you've cast the die. It's in the wind. It's up to the fates and whatnot. But the always the interesting thing is we have such we talk about how much strife there is in our political system, and yet it's really difficult to say. It is a pretty tenuous situation. So the election isn't the end necessarily. Speaking of the George Bush dangling chads, the Supreme Court came in and stepped in where they ought not.
Yes, they did. They gave Bush that presidency.
I appreciate that people say that your vote matters. And my answer to that is maybe. take it with a grain of salt. So there's a lot of things that happen.
Democracy matters, okay?
Totally agree.
If you lose confidence in the vote, you've lost democracy. And that is why that has been a weapon of Trump's. He is chipping away at democracy by stating that our election system is fraudulent and corrupt, and which it is not. It is not. But his saying that turns it into truth in his, listeners, those in his bubble, in his listeners' ears. And he is making them not believe in democracy. In fact, he was quoted as saying, "You won't need to vote after this." Now, what is that a code word for? Code words for? That is, I'm going to be the totalitarian leader and just figure it all out for you. And you just be there and be good people and do whatever I tell you to do. So, no, you got to vote. Voting is a keystone to democracy. Yes, it's flawed. The Electoral College, I mean, there's been massive stuff written about how horrible that is. Got to change that. Yeah, it needs to be worked on. But it's worked, you could quote unquote say it doesn't work, but it has worked so far. A few near misses.
I would say that has also worked for some part of the time.
Mhm.
We've had disenfranchisement built into the Constitution for since its birth. So
Yes.
3/5 of man is legal, and we have man in the sentence. So
Mhm.
work is relative, shall we say?
Mhm. Yeah. No, I hear you, and absolutely, that is appalling. Our whole government is built on racism. So, and I
And
don't want to go.
sexism.
Yeah, that too.
So let's say it's a work in progress.
Yes, democracy is always a work in progress.
Right. Is
It's
it
not
working?
over.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in
Yes.
progress. All right, we'll leave it at that. Meanwhile, we're optimistic. We're nauseously optimistic here that we're going to get through this and be in a better place maybe by Friday or Saturday. We don't know
And
because
we'll let Art Blog be the beacon of hope that you can look
yes,
forward to and find art in the city that shows you that people are still trying and caring and are interested in its benefit and its benefit to all.
absolutely, absolutely. Yes. So now I think we've electioneered enough. So let's move on. Go out and vote, everybody. Don't forget.
We don't want to
Um,
announce the winner yet, or are we going to wait till the end?
I think we'll wait till the end. Ryan, that's your call. You announce it. You're the statistician among
Oh
us.
man, too close
But
to call.
well, I don't believe that either. I don't believe in the polls, so I don't think it's going to be that close. But we'll see. If we can get more than 25% of the population to vote, that would be a first, and that would be really good.
That's
Um,
astonishing.
yes, it would be good. Anyway, I do have a couple of art news things. Shall I get
Great.
into those? All
Please
right.
do.
There is a new sustainable fabric store on Fabric Row. The first new fabric store on Fabric Row in 40 years, I am told. That's very exciting. They use sustainable fabrics and the ancillary products that you can buy, the ribbons and the buttons and all that kind of stuff. And bravo to them. It's called Approved Textiles. And they're having a grand opening November 9th and 10th. Approved Textiles at 710 South 4th Street. Sustainable artisan-made fabrics and aims to revitalize the district's fabric shopping scene. So how amazing is that? I remember shopping for fabric on Fabric Row back when Libby and I were doing art projects back in the day. It's marvelous to go into those fabric shops. They're just a hoot.
Yeah,
And they
I
have
love
it's
this.
such a tactile experience. You go in, you can't keep your hands off anything. So they're having on November 10th, which is this coming up weekend, they're having Sunday, a community open house from 1 to 3 p.m. And at 3:30 p.m., attendees can join, I'm reading from their press release, the Know Your Colors and Fabrics workshop to learn to distinguish between natural fibers and synthetic fibers. This could be useful. The
Yeah.
workshop underscores the store's commitment to sustainable fashion by giving participants practical fabric knowledge for everyday choices. That's great. So we'll put
Yeah.
the contact information for them in the transcript so you know how to go there and et cetera, et cetera. But that's very exciting. I'm
It really
excited for
is.
that.
Yeah.
And following in the fabric universe, Tuft the World, which we've written about before. And actually, there is a podcast that Libby and I did in 2013. This would be a historic archived podcast in our, Wayback Machine. We did an interview with Tim Eads, who, with his wife partner, Tiernan Alexander, have now created Tuft the World, which is their tufting carpet tapestry project out of West Philadelphia. So there was a beautiful story in the Inquirer over the weekend, highlighting how wonderful it is that they're doing. And they started this business during the pandemic, according to this article. And during the pandemic, they were the only bulk game. There was no other place to get tufting materials. No one was doing tufting. Since then, a few years have passed, and now it's like everywhere on the internet you can get tufting materials, and it's undercut their business a little bit, but they're still going strong. And I think that's just more power to them. I'm thrilled. This is another sort of success story in the art world in Philadelphia. Way to go. Way to go.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, the final thing I wanted to mention is that there was a story also in the Inquirer about Ta-Nehisi Coates, I believe that's how you say the writer's name, was in Philadelphia at Girard College on November, I don't know, 1st maybe, talking with Mark Lamont Hill, who is the owner, founder of Uncle Bobby's Bookshop.
Mhm.
And this is through a new initiative between Uncle Bobby's and WHYY. So
Oh,
they're
great.
bringing some authors to town. And next up, I'm not sure when, because they didn't put the date in there, is Ketanji, the Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji
Ford
Brown,
Brown.
Ford
Uh-huh.
Brown.
Uh-huh.
Yes, she'll be coming.
All right.
So
Wow.
this is something to watch out for, and we'll keep it on our radar so we can pass it along to you. Ta-Nehisi Coates, it's a book thing. These are people that have written memoirs. So Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote his memoir called The Message,
Mhm.
and he spoke about that. And, it's about empowerment of a person and people. And he also tied it into the election and how it's very important to vote. Super, very important. I thought that was good. A really nice use of Girard College. If you haven't been to Girard College, that would be a great time to go, is when there's a program like that.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful old buildings, and it's not open to the public generally. It's a school.
Right.
So a very important school. And that goes back to the founding fathers, Stephen Girard, who set it up. To get in there, I've been in there for an art event once or twice, and it's quite amazing, the space. It's beautiful. Old, beautiful, sort of
Yeah.
heroic space.
I'm not sure if our listeners are listen to a lot of other podcasts, but there's a podcast that I listen to regularly called Talk Easy with Sam Fragoso, and Ta-Nehisi Coates was just recently on there talking about his memoir.
Is this a local podcast?
No, it's not, but it's one that I enjoy because I think the host is really great.
Can you
Sure.
tell us what it is again and put a link into it so we can find it?
I will. Yeah, it's called Talk Easy with Sam Fragoso, and mainly focus on like cinema, film, that type of work. But it has also been doing a lot of writers as well of late. I guess he's taught authors throughout the podcast history, but it's a really great show. I
Great.
enjoy listening to it. And
All right.
yeah,
So-
Ta-Nehisi Coates, obviously he's from Baltimore and has a great story. And he was just recently talking about Palestine and all of those issues. And it's a pretty powerful piece.
That's great. And you can find their backlog at their website too, or on Spotify or one of those places.
Yeah.
If you wanted to find that.
Yeah, wherever you get. Absolutely.
Well, that's about all I've got in the news, the art news, but there will always be art news, folks. Come back for the art news.
Yeah, the Uncle Bobby series. I mean, that's right at my neighborhood. So I'm super excited to see the Supreme Court justices might be there. That's pretty exciting.
I'm not sure. I mean, this was at Girard College. I think they're not
maybe it's going to be
hosting-
there.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to be at Uncle Bobby's. She would
It's
bring in quite a crowd.
small.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Intimate.
Yeah. Yeah. We only have seating for 16.
Yeah, that's
The other
about
500
it.
are going to have to sit outside.
And watch
So-
on the
but they would.
Jumbotron. Yes.
But there's a nice little square right there that I wish they would make really nice. So one
I
of these
agree.
days.
There is a very nice square there. And is that where the City Hall is? Is there a Germantown historic City Hall kind of thing? Because I think
So,
Germantown was a separate little town at one time, wasn't it?
hmm yeah, it's where they used to send the presidents whenever there was scarlet fever or something that was going in the water, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was
Higher
the summer
ground,
vacation, higher ground and away from the city folk
the
for a little
river,
while.
away
Hmm
from the rivers. Brian, what do you have this morning?
Okay. So my events, we'll keep them to three. They're coming up is November 8th. We'll have two events that are going to be on November 8th. That's this Friday. The first one is a conversation between Michelle Angela Ortiz, who has been well received on our blog, big friends of the show, and Dr. Veronica Montes. And they're talking about immigration, they're talking about the border, they're talking about art. And it's a conversation at Taller Puerto Riqueño that is from 6 to 8 p.m. November 8th. And Taller Puerto Riqueño is 2600 North 5th. If you haven't been there, they come up a lot for me on different events. They have a lot of good art. They have a lot of good conversations. They're a good program to support.
They
So
have a
if you have
good
something,
bookstore. They have a
they have a
great
great bookstore,
bookstore.
take a look at that. So I mentioned that, let's see, the last time I was polled was 20 years ago. So I'm feeling a little bit older, but there's a show coming up also on Friday, November 8th. It's called 20 Dyke Artists Over 40 Years Old, which looks like a lot of fun show. Particularly, it's a Dyke House. It's Friday, November 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. The address is 709 North 40th Street. That looks like a lot of fun show. Take a look at that. It's going to cover a lot of different things, a lot of different artists and avenues and perspectives.
Wait,
And
is this visual art or is it theater? I'm a little unsure.
I think it's going to cover the gamut, but I think it's primarily going to be it's going to be up for a while. It runs through December 29th, so it's going to be more of a gallery presentation.
Okay.
November 8th is the opening slash premiere of the show, but yeah, it's going to run through the end of the year.
Okay,
So you
cool.
do have time to see it. It's just the opening coming up this Friday,
Mm-hmm.
which are always tons of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one I wanted to mention, and there's actually a lot of shows that I wanted to mention, but I do try to keep it to three so this podcast doesn't go on for 20 minutes just by myself. This is what Art Blog Connect is for, because there's all of the shows that we know about. We try to get them up there so everybody can be on the same page and know what's going on and not doom scroll Instagram to find what's going on. It's a little bit easier. Is the Beyond the Page lyrics and line breaks. That's at H&H Books. That's November 13th. So that's next week, but it's going to be between our podcasts. So I wanted to mention that one. H&H is over in the Kensington area and wanted to throw something out in that neighborhood. That address is 2230 Frankfurt Avenue, and that's November 13th from 6 to 8 p.m.
And what is it?
It is going to be something about the intersection between writing, lyrics, and music.
So it's a talk. People are going to talk.
I think so. I think there's going to be talks and some examples. So it's going to be combinatory of conversation and music is my expectation. I'm not sure, but November 13th, you can find out for yourself. And H&H Books we love supporting bookstores. We mentioned Uncle Bobby. It's a great place. H&H Books, support local books. And so that's coming up November 13th at H&H.
Cool.
So those are my three for the week.
I want to say we had a birthday party last Saturday. We missed you all if you weren't there. The cake was good. People were in a very optimistic celebratory mood. That's always fun to be around. The show still looks great, everyone. Come see the art market. It's up till December 7th. You have time to look, you have time to buy. There's all kinds of, in addition to the beautiful art, there's wonderful books from Partners and Son and from Ulysses and merch from all of the above. And we had merch also. Art Blog has tote bags and t-shirts and a book and a blank book and stickers, lots of stuff. So it's good for all different pocketbooks and just toddle on over. And we also had a zine making workshop over the weekend. Michelle Harris, who is a co-director of Big Ramp Gallery with Chris Hamas, came in with a rolling silver cart filled to the brim with the most amazing stamps and stamp pads and cut paper and torn paper and things that you could just mess around with. And I don't know about you, Ryan, but I had the best time messing around. It was just fun. And at the end, I made a book, one of those one-page books where you fold a sheet of paper in half and then in half again and then in half again, and then make a little cut at some point, and then you open it a different way and it becomes a book, an 8-page book. It was just great. And Michelle is a lovely person, and she's totally committed to this. And she also has art in the art market. So she and her partner, Chris, are both in the art market. You can come and see their work. I believe Michelle also has a workshop, a zine workshop coming up at Head in Hand. Since you mentioned Head in Hand, I don't know when it is. We can track that down and put that date and time and et cetera in there too. She does a really good workshop. She's very accommodating, and it's more like a tutorial one-on-one, not her standing in front and saying, now do this, now do that. It was like, here, let me help you. I'll, very personalized service. It was great. It was a great workshop. Shout out to Michelle.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a therapeutic session of just sitting and working with your hands, and
Totally.
it was really nice.
It was
I enjoyed
relaxing.
it quite a bit.
It was
It
great.
was.
And at the end, I made something that I'm not unhappy with. I liked it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, the birthday party was a lot of fun. That cake did not last.
No, it did not.
It was gone really fast.
It went really fast. People were hungry for cake. What does that tell
I
you?
guess so.
And we ran a selection of videos from our YouTube that were sort of the archive of Art Blog going back a bunch of years. And everybody loved it so much. I think we ought to put that on Art Blog. People liked it so much. Or put it on our Instagram. Maybe the Instagram is the place to put it.
Yeah, I'll do that. That sounds great.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, a lot of good times, a lot of good conversation. It was nice to see people and connect with people that you see online but never in person.
That's right.
Or So but it was a lot of fun. And so the art market continues through December into December, first week of December. And feel free to stop by anytime on Thursdays. We're down there and say hello, and we'll walk you through the gallery. And
definitely.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you.
Yes, if you want to be interviewed about the state of art in Philadelphia, come on down and talk to us. We have video, audio equipment, and we're putting together clips that will run on Instagram and on Art Blog, showing the voice and face of the art community, which is pretty much hidden, as we know. When it comes to art in Philadelphia, people would rather talk about sports, which is wrong. But we're going to show them that the face of the Philadelphia art and artists is amazing, and they ought to pay attention.
It's worth paying attention, and I think that's really great.
Yeah. All right. Well, stay optimistic, everyone. Stay positive. Keep your friends and family around you. Clasp them to your bosom, as we say. Yeah. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everyone. This is Ryan. This has been Art Blog's Midweek News.
And this is Roberta saying bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.